Tanya Kavasei de Rava. So we've got a brisa. So we had a question on Rabbi Yehuda and two explanations why Rabbi Yehuda held that, according to Rabbi Yehuda, held they didn't bring a delis. Either they didn't need a delis, or they especially didn't bring a delis, says Rava, in order that the boy shouldn't be too chilled on the top, but when he's going to be too relaxed on the top, he'll stick his head out and stick his feet out, and then, in case someone's buried underground, he'll become tummy. So Tanya Kavasei de Rava, we have a brisa that says, that right at the top of the Amud, two words in, Tanya Kavasei de Rava. We have a brisa that explains Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, sort of Chazara. Tanya Kavasei de Rava. We have a brisa that explains Rabbi Yehuda like Rava explained Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, right at the top of Amud Beis, Chafan Amud Beis. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Loi hayim avin delasis kol ikka. They didn't bring doors at all. Comma. Because the child's mind is calm on it, Shema Yotzi Roshai, maybe he'll lift, stick out his head, or one of his limbs, and then he'll become Tomei with something that is buried underground while they're traveling. Ella only, Mavian Shvarim, they brought oxen, Hamitzriim, from Egypt, Egyptian oxen. What was good about these Egyptian oxen? Sehen, their stomachs, ruchavis, were very wide. So if you can imagine a cow, we said yesterday, a show, it goes sort of like this and then out. Because the problem is that when a child's sitting on top of, imagine he's sitting on top of a regular ox, then normally we say an animal, your feet are hanging down along the side, and then there's nothing covering them for any tumah coming up. So the stomach of these creases used to go out. So the child's feet were also guarded by the stomach that went out as an oil to stop the tumah going up. And then, and the children sat on top of them. The koises shall ever be then. Like we said, there was these stone cups in the hands because stone can't be mekabel tumah. Higia l'shiluach. They arrived at this shiluach spring. Yardu, they went down. Umilum, and they filled it up. Va'olu, and they got up again. V'yosh v'lehen al gabein, full stop, and they sat on top of the oxen. Okay, now, going back to this that we said on Amud Aleph, that what? That even if you've got oil, you've got something which is a oil, which is not a good oil, either because it's not man-made or not intentionally man-made, then even though it's not a good oil, but when it's very wide, more than just a tefach by a tefach, it's an igroif, which is wider than a tefach on a tefach, then it will still be a good oil. Now the Gemara takes on that a mitter is as bad as a non-man-made oil, even though a mitter, a bed, is man-made, but a mitter, you can put on a footnote, the reason why there's a problem with a mitter is because it's not fixed oil. It's not a fixed a roof.
Well, it's no different to a door.
But that was intentionally made to be a what's it called? Oil. To stop the tumah. This is not intentionally made to be an oil. So this is an oil arai varimita. This is oil arai. This bed, even though it's man-made, but it's a oil arai. It's a non-fixed oil. But says the Gemara, even though it's not a good oil because it's only non-fixed, the yeshba kama egrifim, it's very wide. Utanan, and it said in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says kama, noigamayino kama, we had the minhag, shayinu yishene tachsamita b'fnei hazakenim, question mark. We had the minhag that we would sleep under the bed, which was implying that there's no problem with sleeping under the bed in the sukkah. Now, if oil is a good oil and it's called a good roof, then this person who's sleeping under the bed is not sleeping in the sukkah, he's sleeping under his bed. And it's an oil, which is mafsik, and it's not called he's in the sukkah at all. Answers the Gemara, shani mitta. A bed is different. Hoil, since, ulegaba asuya, it's made for on top, full stop. And therefore, even though it's a very wide oil, but because it's not made for underneath it, it's made for on top of the bed, the person will then be on top of the bed. Therefore, this is not considered the oil, and it will not be a problem of sleeping under it for sukkah. Asks the Gemara, Shvarim Nami, these oxen that Rabbi Yehuda held was a good oil to stop the tumah coming to the child, legabon asuyim, which Rafi pointed out yesterday, they're not made to be on top because they're not man-made, but legabon asuyim means the usual usage of a shoyer is on top of it, not under it. And therefore, asks the Gemara, why is it a good oil? So Shvarim Nami, oxen also, legabon asuyim, are made for on top, question mark. And footnote, then why is it a good oil? Why does Rabbi Yehuda hold it's a good oil to stop the tumah coming to the child? Ki asa Ravin, when Ravin came, Amar Blaza, he said in the name of Reb Blaza, Shani Svarim, oxen are different. Hoil, since, or Meginim, they shield, ala royim on shepherds, bechama in the sun, memnei achama from the sun, or v'gshamam, when it's raining, memnei agshamim, full stop, it's shields as a underneath it. The Roim used to sit underneath the show in order to save themselves from the sun, shade from the sun, and got a roof from the rain. Now asks the Gemara a new question. Ihachi, if so, mitanami, a bed also, hoil, since, omegina, it shields, al min olim, on shoes, v'sandalim, on boots, shetachtea, under it, question mark. So the Gemara is asking, just like you're telling me an ox is used underneath it also to be a shield for the shepherd when he wants to stop him from the sun and from the rain. A bed also, you put under it shoes and you put under it sandalim. Now you can put as a footnote, the Gemara somewhere says, the reason why the example is given under a bed of shoes and sandalim is because the Gemara somewhere says that if one has food under his bed, he shouldn't eat it because the Ruach Ra gets to food under the bed. And therefore the Gemara here especially gives this example of shoes because only shoes are the only things that are meant to be under someone's bed.
A bed is still not made to have shoes underneath. It's a place that is convenient. It's not, if you were saying before, it's got to do with whether it's made for that purpose or bed's still not made for it.
Right, so I think that it's as bad as a ox also, a show, is also made, really the main usage of a show is for on top of it. You use the work for it on top of it. But because there is some kind of usage underneath it, the Gemara held that is enough to be considered the oil. So says the Gemara, a bed also has some kind of usage under it, and therefore if it's got some kind of usage under it, it'll be a good point to be oil. But it's a good point that, yeah? Did you hear the answer? The Gemara, so
Because it could be used.
not it could be used. It has some kind of usage. Just like a show, the main usage of a show is on top. But it has some kind of usage underneath it. When the shepherds use it underneath, that's enough, the Gemara said, to be called oil. So to a bed, even though the main usage of a bed is on top of the bed, but because it also is used underneath it for the shoes, to guard the shoes, to keep them at night, whatever it is. Because
it's not protecting the shoes. It's just
yeah, but there's what?
protecting it.
No, yeah, exactly. You are putting your shoes
You
there.
don't want them up in the middle of the room.
Is that the only reason? It sounds like you put them underneath them to guard them from getting
You put your
dirty.
shoes under to not my hair. We don't have that problem in my house.
Okay. But it sounds like they did used to put that under the bed. Obviously, in those days there was rain and whatever coming through the roof, and therefore they did have to worry about it. Okay, so anyway, hoya megina min olim and min alayim, the shoes, min alim, shoes, the sandalim, and boots shetachtea under it. False question mark. Ella Amar Rava. So now Rava's going back to the old question: why is a show a good oil if it's not made for on top? It's made for on top of it, not underneath it. Ella Amar Rava. Shani shvarim are different. Hoil, since the asuyim they are made lahogin al b'nei me'ayim shalahen. The bones and skin of the animal is made as a shield for the innards of the animal, and therefore it's made as a shield. It's not just also got used for some kind of usage for the shepherds. Its main usage is to be as a shield for the insides of the animal. Shenema, we've got a pasuk that proves it. This is a pasuk in Iyar. Oh, B'nei Ma'im is the innards, the stomach and everything else. Shenema, it says in the pasuk, Iyar said about himself, he's a person, but he said about himself, O ubasa talbisheni, skin, yeah, open quotation, this is the pasuk. O ubasa, skin and meat, talbisheni, dress me. He was talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom about somos and with bones, vigidim and sinews, tesoichicheni, close quotation. So we see tesoichicheni is a lashon of sukkah. Soichicheni is a lashon of sukkah, which is a lashon of cover, a shield, a roof. And we see from here that the pasuk is Iyar saying that the bones and the gidim, the sinews, are their job is to be as a shield on top of the insides of the person, and therefore same thing with the animal. The animal's usage is also to be there as a shield for his innards. Let's do one more answer. The animal has different parts of the body. It's got the inside of the manu to protect the insides. Very good. So then it's a protection. So if it's made as a protection for underneath it, then it's a good oil. Or just that part at least is a good oil, and therefore the child that's on top of that will have a good oil, stopping the tumah coming up. Right, so let's do one more answer. V'ibais Ema, another answer to this question. Why does Rabbi Yehuda hold that sleeping under the bed is not a problem of sleeping in the sukkah? Rabbi Yehuda said when you've got a very wide oil, then it's an oil and it's a problem. So why is a bed in the sukkah not a problem of oil? Says the Gemara, V'ibais Ema, if you want you can say. Rabbi Yehuda letamei kama. Rabbi Yehuda is according to his own shitta da'ama that he says sukkah diras sukkah. A sukkah has to be a diras kva. So there's a machlokes in the Gemara. Is your sukkah meant to be your fixed living over sukkahs, or is it not the opposite, meant to be your non?
So that's like on the first Amud of Sukkah.
Right, at the beginning, yeah, not the first time of
It
Dawud.
has to be a fixed living in a temporary structure.
Well, that's a machlokes. Rabbi Yehuda holds it's meant to be a fixed living in a fixed structure. Tanakama holds that has to be a temporary structure, and Rabbi Yehuda holds it has to be a fixed, permanent structure. Hence, Rabbi Yehuda holds that you can have a sukkah which is very, very high, 20 amos high, even though once it's 20 amos high, it has to be very strong. Says Rabbi Yehuda that's not a problem, because your sukkah is meant to be your permanent living over sukkahs. And therefore, sukkah, diras kva, we need our sukkah to be a permanent living place. And therefore, the havale mitta, the bed, diras arai, is only a temporary oil, because your bed gets moved around. The sukkah and your main sukkah is oil kva, is your permanent place. V'loi osi oil arai, oil arai, the bed which is only a temporary oil, umavatel oil kva, you won't be considered when you got a temporary oil and then on top of it a fixed oil, a permanent. You won't be a problem because the main place where you're in is the place which is called the permanent place, and the permanent place is the sukkah, and therefore. Says the Gemara, another teretz why Rabbi Yehuda holds that even though a bed is yes a oil, but because it's only ara, it's only temporary compared to the sukkah which is a permanent,
So
then
we
it
still
won't.
don't know what Rabbi Yehuda holds about this.
Well, we know that he holds that a big bed is yes a oil. So either we'll answer that a bed is not made for underneath it; it's only made on top, and ox is yes made for underneath it because the bones are made to look after the inside of the animal. That's one answer, and then we'll say that a bed, the problem is that it's made for on top, or you can even say that bed is also called a good oil, even though in this instance it doesn't matter by a sukkah because we've got a permanent one on top of a temporary one, and therefore you've got no problem with sleeping under it, and we'll call it a day.